What we need to do here is divide the information into two parts. In the first part, we will tell you what the full mind of man is composed of and how it differs from the animals. In the second part, we will explain how all this information gets or doesn't get to your awareness. The second part is written at level 4 and is very technical. It is for those who need to know. The point to remember is that all the information from the mind does not enter your awareness, and the information that does enter is distorted because you can't see the whole. We are trying to help you know that what you don't see, thereby helping you to know what you don't see, thereby allowing you to adjust your life's game to something closer to the real game of life. Get what you can and go on. And then they move to the next chapter, which is the animal's mind versus man's mind, and they're dealing with it at level 3. And they say, let's start with the lower part of the mind of man and work our way up through the higher portions. We will give the parts of man's body where each portion of the mind has its manifestation or expression. It should be understood that in the lower portions of the mind you will find the animal to be quite the same as man. And what they're saying here is that, earlier they said that the mind of man isn't the brain, and that the mind, it doesn't have a location, but that it does manifest itself, show up. If you modified the area, the manifestation would change, so it shows up in different portions of the body, or has its expressions in different parts of the body. In talking about the lower and the higher, they're talking about the animal functions as being lower, just by definition, I guess. And the higher functions more the persona, or perhaps even the soul. And all of it's going on all the time, but you're only aware of, like the center 6 keys, as they say. You're only aware of a very small part of it. So what they're going to do is they're going to start with the lowest level, which is the animal functions of the monkey man that you're living in, and match them to the animals, and then show you where we diverge, where we separate, where we all of a sudden take off from the animal world and become aware of, or at least have as part of our mind the ability to be aware of those things that the animals don't have. So that we'll go on and show you what they're going to say then. On the lowest level of the mind, you will find those processes that control the bodily functions, such as breathing, heartbeat, digestion, and the like. These are, for the most part, involuntary and below our conscious awareness. They are the same for the animal as for man. Could a person become aware of those processes and control them? Yes. Some for the show and some for the side effects of the quest in quite another area. Still, for the most part, neither man nor animal know they are digesting food or renewing the cell. This process finds its expression in the permanent part of the brain closest to the spinal cord. So, as I said, they're saying the animal has bodily functions and man has bodily functions like breathing, digesting, renewing cells, and that sort of thing. We're not aware of those things, but they are going on. And they are part of the mind of man, just like they're part of the mind of an animal. And were you to be kind of an interesting thing, did you catch that where they said that could a person become aware of the processes and control them? Yes, some for the show, and you know what that means, for showing off, knowing that there are people that can change their heartbeat and show off doing it and so on and so forth. And some as a side effect of the quest in quite another area. Being able to control, the quest in another area is that quest for enlightenment, obviously. And sometimes in that quest for enlightenment, you do come to the ability to control your bodily functions. You can control your heartbeat on you can control your breathing, but you're pretty rare that a man can control his heartbeat, control whether he's going to digest food, control whether he's going to renew cells. Still, it is a function of the mind of man, and were you able to access the total functions of the mind, perhaps you could control those things too. Maybe that's where some of these legends of people that heal themselves instantly, or lower their heartbeat, or become in a trance, like don't breathe, the heart doesn't go, and are considered dead. Maybe that's nothing but the process of recognizing that part of the keyboard exists and having developed the ability to control it to some extent. So and you notice here that they said that part that they're talking about, the bodily functions, is expressed in the primitive part of man's brain closest to the spinal cord, which would be the animal brain, I guess. And then they go on. As we move to the next level of the mind, we find the very thing that we were talking about earlier. This is where the first, third, and fifth sources of emotion do their work. In the animal kingdom, their expression is found more toward the front of the brain, actually the rest of the brain, and other parts of the body not connected to the brain. In man, it manifests in the front of the primitive brain and behind the midbrain at the solar plexus and the heart area. All of the emotional influences are manifested here. Now, did you see where the difficulty will come as you're trying to understand this, is that the manifestation of emotions isn't just in the brain. It's in the brain, it's in the part of man's brain between the midbrain and the primitive brain. You'd have to get to the structure of a brain to find out where that was. But it also says that it's in the solar plexus and heart area. Now, science and we as scientific beings in this scientific world don't recognize the mind as being anywhere near the heart or solar plexus. And they say, obviously, that the mind isn't there, but its manifestation is there. Well, I'll give you an example. When somebody's fooling with you, this is something that I know. When some human has decided to make you do something and is going to make you do it with that emotional push that they talked about earlier, the manifestation of that, the receiving of that, is in the solar plexus, just a little bit below the heart, right in the middle, right where the V of your ribs are. If you have a feeling there, if there's a feeling there, if there's something that you feel there, you are being manipulated by something, because that's the source, that's the antenna, maybe. That's the place where you receive it. That's the place also where you send it. That's the manifestation. That's where your will is. That's where your will is being manipulated. That's just a little, probably for those that need to know too. Have learned that much. Don't know a lot of this, but that much I have learned. And so then they say, and here's where the animal stops, and man, with the soul attached, goes on with his mind. Now we've done the animal bodily function. We've done the emotions, the receiving, the area of emotions. The animals also have that. So you have that part of what the man is receiving in his mind, and then they go to this point here where now the animal stops and man goes on, and they say this is the area that man goes on, and that is that man has karma, the fourth source of emotion, which is the new law for man only, and is found to express itself behind the midbrain at the solar plexus and heart also. In other words, these are the same three areas. This karma influences man through emotion. And they said that before, and here we are again with this information that the genetic source of emotion, the learned source of emotion, and the source of emotion that is put upon us by some other person, were all found in this same exact place. This is the area that is influenced. Now we have karma, and whatever karma is, which they'll be explaining later, that finds its influence in those same three places, behind the midbrain, the solar plexus, and the heart area. So here we are, being influenced emotionally, and I guess all of the emotions are going to be influencing us there, is what they're saying. And you already saw, they already spent a great deal of time with emotions, and the reason they did that is because what they're saying is your life is influenced greatly by emotions, and those emotions come from different sources, and you don't know that. And so you're walking around thinking you're a logical, civilized, not non-animal being, and they're saying, sorry, you are an animal. You are influenced 80% by your animal emotions. You're not a thinking, rational human being. You're an emotional animal. And you need to know that. And you need to know where these things are coming from and what they are, and gives you a view of the real game of life here.